Ink Ribbon.
Whether you are introverted and doing okay, or extroverted and going stir crazy, we can all agree that this quarantine sucks. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like we're going to be out of it anytime soon, so I thought I would put together a list of games that I personally recommend to help keep your mind off all this craziness. Unlike my usual horror games, these games are specifically chosen because they are happy, engaging, and they take a bit of time to finish. These games are from different genres, systems, and decades, but I can vouch for every single one of these, and I hope at least one of them piques your interest. So, here's my list of amazing games to keep you entertained during the quarantine.
Number 10.
Plants vs. Zombies. One of my all-time favorite games, and the game that introduced me to tower defense, Plant vs. Zombies is a fantastic game that anyone can enjoy. The gameplay is simple at first, but gets really challenging and provides you with a ton of strategy and options down the road, depending on how you like to play. And the goal is simple. Using plants, keep the zombies away from your house. That's it. As you progress, you start to unlock more plants that each have their own unique ability. It's kind of hard to explain, but I promise it's actually really fun. Just make sure you get the first game. That's the one that was an indie game before EA got a hold of it and turned it into a microtransaction-riddled mess. And the best part is you can download this game for free right now on iOS and Android and try it for yourself.
Number 9.
SSX3. Okay, I know some of you just raised an eyebrow at this, but I promise this isn't a sports game. It may look like it at first glance, but it's actually a ton of fun and completely over the top. I can also recommend its predecessor, SSX Tricky, but SSX3 is the superior game. You have a selection of fun, vibrant, and loud characters that have personalities as strong as their skills. Along with some really great gameplay, namely the signature Uber tricks where your character does stuff like this, there's also the amazing soundtrack that introduced me to a ton of great music back in the day. As you progress through the game, you earn money that can be used to buy skill upgrades or outfits and gear for your character. I guarantee this game will put a smile on your face and make you feel like a superstar snowboarder.
Number 8.
Banished. This is a little indie game for PC that a lot of people don't know about, but it's so much fun and addicting in the best way. But it also doesn't have a steep learning curve like a lot of other Civilization games do. You start as a small group of settlers that have limited supplies depending on the difficulty you choose, and it's up to you to assign jobs, build houses, manage resources, and grow your village into a city. It may sound easy, but it can get really difficult if you aren't on top of stuff like food production and firewood. I would say this game is sort of something in between The Sims and SimCity. And I promise it's really fun. And the best part is there's plenty of free mods and expansions that turn the game into a much more complex and personalized experience.
Number 7.
Yoshis Island. A game from my childhood that still holds up today, Yoshis Island is a work of art. It's easy to look at it and assume that it's some sort of Mario spin-off, but it's not only visually striking with its childlike aesthetic, but it also has some of the best game design I've ever seen in a platformer, and it can get extremely challenging sometimes, but never to the point of extreme frustration. Each level tends to be its own quirky experience, and you never know what you will get. Some levels, Yoshi turns into a helicopter, and some levels, Yoshi is spitting watermelon seeds at monkeys. Another reason this is a must-play game is the music, which is some of the best in all of gaming. You can easily play this via an emulator, but I recommend you play the Game Boy Advance version for the extra bonus levels.
Number 6.
GTA Vice City. Most gamers probably played this back in the day. This is the game that made 90s kids nostalgic about the 80s during the 2000s, and it's a classic. I still play it now and then because there's just something about Vice City that is just so nice. Now, I'm not talking about the violence or anything like that, but more about the overall aesthetic and the vibe. Driving around Miami in the 80s with all of the fashion and the music and the colors from the decade are just the perfect mental escape. Well, as long as you don't play the remote-controlled helicopter mission.
Number 5.
Just Dance. Okay, now before you judge me, let me explain. During this time, we are all stuck inside and we're not getting the exercise that we need. On top of no physical activity, we are also susceptible to things like depression, anger, and other mental blocks. It is scientifically proven that moving your body and doing just a little bit of physical activity will treat and prevent all of that. I watched a really good TED Talk that I will link down in the description if you'd like to know more about that. Just Dance is also really fun to do with your roommates or family members. I know these games are easy to laugh at, but you'd be surprised at how much fun they are. It's a great way to take care of your mind and your body, plus you can learn some pretty sick dance moves.
Number 4.
The Sims Bustin Out. There's a very good chance that you have played The Sims at some point in your life, and I'd recommend any of the Sims games, especially The Sims 2. But I have to say one of my all-time favorite games in the series is The Sims Bustin Out for Xbox, GameCube, and PS2. There are some titles in gaming that capture a certain amount of charm like lightning in a bottle, and this is one of them. Unlike the normal Sims games, this one offers a lot of progression with goals to accomplish as you go from living with your mom to moving into a gym, a nudist colony, and eventually your own mansion if you play your cards right. As the title suggests, this game is all about busting out of your home and moving up in the world. The clothing is peak 2000s with some interesting options thrown in, and there are so many unique items thrown into this game that aren't in any other Sims game, like the bug zapper or the aroma machine that can boost some stats while you sleep. And it's worth mentioning that there is not only the classic Sims mode, but also a 2-player feature as well.
Number 3.
Cities Skylines. Now, if managing a family isn't your thing, how about managing an entire city? No, not talking about SimCity, I'm talking about the superior game, Cities Skylines. Unlike SimCity and other similar games, this one is much easier to pick up and learn, and it's really rewarding. You can take an empty landscape and slowly turn it into a thriving metropolis, a desolate pollution-filled factory town, or an eco-friendly green city. Allowing you to go at your own pace, this game is great for whatever style suits you, and for you multitaskers, it's great to have in the background while you are on the internet or doing other tasks like online classes or cleaning.
Number 2.
Final Fantasy X and X-2. The first JRPG I ever played was also the best I ever played, and I can't think of a better recommendation for an escape into a different world. While it is a fantasy world, it's not your typical one, having its own very unique aesthetic, great characters, and one of the best storylines of any game ever made. While I know it's not everyone's favorite style of gameplay, I found the turn-based combat to be extremely enjoyable, especially later in the game when you begin to really level up and gain new abilities. I'd also like to throw its sequel, Final Fantasy X-2, into the mix because it gets a lot of flack, but I think it's a fantastic game and it does a great job of continuing the story with the characters who you have grown connected to, as well as the world of Spira after your first adventure. This is a game I would recommend at any time. It's one of my all-time favorite games, but I can't think of a better time to play it than right now.
Number 1.
Stardew Valley. Out of all the games in this list, this is by far the most relaxing of them all. I've never been more surprised at how much I've fallen in love with a game than with Stardew Valley. Don't be fooled by the retro graphics. This game is very, very deep, which is why it's at my number 1 spot. Developed by one person, Stardew Valley revolves around you playing as a farmer that is new in town and offers a multitude of gameplay styles. You can go the traditional route and simply plant seeds and grow crops to make a profit. You can engage in fishing. You can cook. You're able to craft a ton of items. There's combat and mining and just a whole bunch of other activities. Basically, it's Minecraft, Harvest Moon, and Animal Crossing all mixed together. And speaking of Animal Crossing, I don't have a Nintendo Switch, so I'm definitely missing out over the new Animal Crossing game, but if you want an alternative, this is a great option, and it's available on almost every platform you can think of, including mobile. So please do yourself a favor and check it out. I hope that at least one of these games is able to help you during this time, and if there's a game that you'd like to recommend to others, please share it down in the comments so we can all contribute our favorite titles. Please remember to not only take care of your mind, but also your body. Even just a small amount of physical activity is really effective, and don't forget, we're all in this together. Be sure to wash your hands and stay home as much as possible to stay healthy. I hope you guys are all doing alright. I'm Kai Morgan, and as always, thanks for watching Ink Ribbon. And a very special thank you to my bronze, silver, and gold Patreon supporters. Thanks to you, I can make videos without worrying about demonetization and grow my channel faster.